Hello, it's just a quick video to talk about something I went to see over the weekend, which was the first, I think, UK's official wing race, and also had some X-Class racing. So this was from the BDRA, I think it's the British Drone Racing Association, and had a number of sponsors, amongst which I'll mention because they were there. Menace, you should know Menace, I have them on my goggles all the time, a great creator of antennas and stuff, and I was able to talk to Greg as well and ask him about, well, if I'm doing OpenHD, what sort of antenna do I need? Very helpful for me. And Martin was there from Fossil Stuff. Fossil Stuff, a maker of general frames, but also if you want to fly X-Class in the UK, he is pretty much the only person to speak to. So all the frames there were 4 X-Class there, they were all on the Thor frames. And Martin was also kind enough to show me one of his design concepts. He's looking at a stretched X type of X-Class, and he had this really interesting concept there. It was just sort of mocked up in plastic, I presumed 3D printed type material, and he could sort of change the arm length and change the angle of the arms, and he'd sorted out so all the batteries were going to line underneath. I think that'd be really interesting. One interesting thing I learnt about X-Class, as I guess many people may imagine if they've gone from 5-inch to bigger quads, is it's very difficult to tune. You're talking sort of much lower kV motors, sometimes sort of 400 or less kV with big 12-13 inch props, and these guys were running old versions of Betaflight in the main, sort of 3.3, 3.5, something like that, because it got a better tune. So there's some work to be done there, and when I talked to some of the guys that had just built this, they said it was always still a bit shaky. But it was an interesting event because it wasn't so much about racing and being serious, it was kind of being fun. So we had X-Class going from sort of 6S up to 12S, just guys that just wanted to try and get around the course versus guys that were trying to set a fast lap. Because this is a worldwide event, everybody around the world had set up the same lap, and it was all about a DVR time, who could do the fastest around the world. X-Class is still very niche, but it seemed to be sort of gaining ground, and then COVID happened and everything sort of shut down again. So it's only sort of now when we're starting to get together again, perhaps we'll see these big quads come together. Because the great thing about watching X-Classes go round is you can see them and you can kind of tell where they're going. Although if I had to criticise this track layout, this is sort of a dual track where we had the wing racing and one inflatable gate and a couple of flags that got taken down so the X-Class could race, but there were no markers on the ground, so it was slightly difficult from an onlooker to say which way are they going, where they go. I mean, we could see them fine, we could see them do the turns and go through the gates, but just not sure where they were about to go in the next thing. Anyway, there are a few good crashes, a few gates ripped to pieces, and it was always really exciting to see the X-Classes up in the air, although when they went down they would take a little while to fix generally, so it wasn't like a rapid amount of races from X-Class. I was there a lot to see the wing racing. Wing racing is something that's always threatened to take place in the UK, but really hasn't. I mean, casually, people have, of course, flown rings around with each other, but there's never been an actual race which has been sort of officially recognised, and this one has. It was a fairly simple circuit. It's just an oval, and there was one big inflatable gate to go through. The idea of that was going to be the timing gate. Not that I'm sure the timings were working completely well, but that was a little bit hit and miss. And although the idea of wing racing is it's built around a spec wing, you have a certain length of wing you can have, you have a certain motor, KV and powertrain and type of prop you can have. This was very much a test. Bring a wing along. If you can fly it through the course, you're most welcome to. So we had the range of sort of very powerful setups. In fact, one guy decided to use a twin motor around one of the courses. Another guy had a tiny Strix Goblin Nano, which was flying an 18650. So that was very much a very gentle cruise around. That would have normally been his sort of long-range INAV wing, but he took it around here. So I felt a bit sad that I didn't bring a wing for myself, because I could have had a race around there and had some fun. So an interesting thing about wing racing, which doesn't happen in your general drone racing, is somebody needs to launch the wing. The idea is you can't have a static launch like you can in normal drones, so you have to get the wings in the air, they sort of meander around, and there's a beep sort of timer, beep, 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 and it's like go. And then at that point, the wings all have to sort of go and get through that first starting gate. So you can see that there could be some tactics there at where you are and what position you need to be in. It's also interesting, of course, because normally in races, it's going to be the first round of racers will race, the second round, the people racing next will be the spotters for those guys. And the spotters were responsible for launching the wings. Launching a wing is not hard once you've got the knack of it, but everyone's wing's a little bit different. Everyone's launch style is their own style for their own wings. So there was a lot of conversations about like how the throw worked and did you need to run up and am I okay like this? Should I do it like this? That sort of thing. And occasionally you got it wrong. Tony here showing how not to do it.
Throw it. If you can throw it, throw it.
Can you talk us through your throwing technique, Tony? Do you let the wrist go limp just before you throw it, or? And yeah, I gave him a hard time for it because it's Tony and he's a friend. But yeah, it can be a little bit tricky, just getting that thing right about how you launch. Fortunately, these wings are pretty tough. Most of them are laminated, their cameras are set slightly back, and they could take a hit. And I went out there and I filmed lots of things. Quite obviously, if there was going to be a crash point, it was going to be that single gate you had to get through. The rest of it was an oval. You had flags around the outside of the field, you had to fly around and then get through the oval. When you fly wing, it wants to go up. If you fly it fast, it really wants to go up. It's actually quite hard to push it down. It wants, because of the way the wings are shaped, they want to produce lift. So yeah, people sometimes were not quite getting that dive into the gate right, and there was a lot of crashes. But these are tough things. I didn't notice anything sort of break beyond the point of putting it back together again pretty quickly. As soon as the battery flies out, usually you're left with something that's pretty light and can't really damage itself by itself. So yeah, that was fun to watch. So for many people it was a case of like, let's just try and get round, let's be slow and steady. Some people had a lot more experience in this and really dominated. Chris G, I think, was the overall winner. He got a lot of very fast laps in. You can see from his DVR, it's a case of like getting through the gate and then you're pretty much on a 90-degree slope all the way around until you have to drop down again and drop some of your speed off. But it was really interesting to watch and looked like a lot of fun. The actual racing is exactly the same as your regular 5-inch drone racing. It's a case of once it starts, it's how many laps you can do in your allocated time, and the person who gets the most laps in is essentially the winner, which is exactly what we had here. Sometimes there would be no finishers. A lot of times there'd just be one finisher, but it was a lot of fun. I always worry sometimes about racing makes you take flying too seriously, but this was far from it. A lot of guys just having a lot of fun, a lot of camaraderie about sort of crashing stuff and how well they did and stuff. It was a real pleasure to see. And I hope there's going to be more of it. And next time there is, I will commit to bringing a wing as well and flying it too, because it looks so much fun, I wanted to take part. Anyway, that's my quick video for today. Thanks to all the guys that organised it. It was really cool to watch. And yeah, I look forward to taking part in the future. So if you hear about one coming up, don't forget to give it a go. You don't have to be a serious wing racer or any sort of racer. There's sort of levels for everybody to take part at. And in this case, you didn't even need to build a special wing. And I can't say for sure, but I'm pretty sure as it grows, it's going to be quite lax about what type of wing you need to have. But don't take my word on that. But that's what I imagine. Anyway, I'll be checking out for that in the future. Hope you will too. Catch you in the next video. Bye for now. Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.